So here we're looking at some of the problems you get from if you have type 2 diabetes, hypertension. One of them, pulmonary diseases. So anything with your lungs. Sleep apnea is a big problem because if you're not getting sleep, that's one of the biggest drivers of poor health. I think in this country is people not getting sleep for a lot of different reasons. Right here you might recognize this organ as your liver. So non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So basically your liver tissue is getting damaged. Your body has more trouble breaking down toxins, which obviously is a pretty big problem. Right under your liver, holding bile to give to your small intestine, is the gallbladder. So I think Gall, sorry about that handwriting. Terrible. But the gallbladder, I believe, just general poor diet can lead to those gallbladder issues. Down here, osteoarthritis, skin issues, gout, which shows usually severe pain in the toe. A good friend of mine got gout, not from diabetes, but other things. That's from problem breaking down nutrients. Various cancers are associated with type 2 diabetes, and stroke. So you can just see there's a lot of things on this list, and it just shows you how diabetes is a real systemic problem in your body. It really takes a toll on every single cell. And here's an MRI of a person, this would be categorized obese and say one of normal weight. Most people focus on, that exterior fat being a problem, and you can just see the difference between the two people. But really, I want to call your attention to inside the body. Is also really problematic. All this extra adipose tissue pushing in on every internal organ you have is a real problem. And then if you have some kind of a problem where you need surgery inside your abdominal cavity, it's extremely difficult to go in and fix if you have a lot of this adipose tissue surrounding all the blood vessels. The surgeon's going to need to be able to fix the problem. So starvation, not having essential nutrients. Try to improve my handwriting with my new pad here. And if you're not getting enough nutrients from your diet, from what you take in, your body is going to go to itself for that information. First, your body is going to go to glycogen you have stored in your liver and to some extent your muscles. And if no glycogen is available, your body's going to break down. Now, first, this is incorrect, and your book shows this, and really, it doesn't go to muscle first, it goes to fat. So it will go to your fat stores before it goes to your protein. So basically, it's, glycogen, then your body's going to go to fat, and then and only then it'll go to your protein to break down those amino acids. That's a complicated chemical reaction. It takes a lot of energy to go after your amino acids. So your body's going to want to do sugar or fat first. Your body's made to utilize those fat stores, and that's what it will do. Here's a condition, marasmus. You're wasting away because of not getting enough nutrients. So you may have heard of, I remember hearing about vitamin C and scurvy, talking about sailors. British sailors were called limeys because they would eat limes. And that, of course, prevented scurvy. And I just remember one, I don't know how true it is, but one of the early observations was that German sailors did not get scurvy like most sailors did. And one thing that German sailors ate in their diet was cabbage, which, as you might think, has vitamin C in it. So you need it to make collagen, which you have in your skin, in your connective tissue ligaments. And we have a mutation in this GLOW gene, and we can't make it, we can't synthesize it. So most mammals can make it. So dogs, cats, elephant. You don't need to give your cat vitamin C, or your dog. Sheep, pigs, horse. So most of the animals that we interact with, but most primates cannot. So humans, chimps, apes. And somewhere along the way, we lost that ability, but it wasn't crushing because we were getting enough fruits, vegetables where it didn't matter. We were able to get enough. It was only when we became, further civilized, I suppose, and we had a different diet where we weren't eating those basic vegetable items. But this is interesting. A few fish lost it too, probably because their diet, they can handle it. But it's just weird. In evolution, natural selection, weird things happen. Mutations happen, and sometimes they're bad enough where they make you go extinct. Sometimes they don't have any make any difference at all. But if you have scurvy, that's what we're kind of talking about here. Weakness, anemia, so you don't your blood's lack of red blood cells. But the main thing is gum disease. Did your teeth fall out? Gum disease. And here, cute little guinea pig here, and I guess they like tomatoes, but you can see the breakdown in the tissues here. The skin is all crusted. Poor little guinea pigs. But this is a famous experiment. It was a test to see how scurvy worked. They were fed whole grains that lacked vitamin C, and these guinea pigs got scurvy. And then, after they saw they had scurvy, they gave them cabbage and lemon juice, and the scurvy went away. Scurvy went away. So it was really groundbreaking at the time. The word vitamin didn't exist, so nothing about vitamins were understood, and it also, people just did not accept the results. It was just so groundbreaking. And then it happens in science, and that's a good thing. We want to make sure we have a lot of evidence to support the ideas that we're coming up with. A disease we need to learn about is PKU. Has to do with phenylalanine. That's this amino acid. You need some for protein synthesis, but you have extra. And you have this enzyme called phenyl. Let me try to write a little better. Phenyl. That's not bad. Alanine. Dehydroxylase. So phenylalanine hydroxylase converts phenylalanine to tyrosine, which your body can then use, so it doesn't build up. So people that have that mutation don't have the phenylalanine hydroxylase. You use some of the phenylalanine, but that extra cannot be converted. So the extra cannot be converted, and it builds up, and it can cause problems with nerve development of the head. And you may have seen this. It might seem kind of familiar, because if you look at food labels, it will say if something contains phenylalanine, and that's there to help people that have that mutation that can't handle extra phenylalanine. It helps keep them from getting sick. So it's a genetic disease. You're born with it from a mutation, and you can't make that phenylalanine hydroxylase. No phenylalanine hydroxylase. And what's interesting is you need 2 of the mutant genes. So we all get 2 genes for every trait. One from your mom, one from your father. And you need 2 of them. So the chances you're going to have this disease are pretty rare because most people have 2 regular ones. Some people might get 1 mutant, but you have to get 2 mutants in order to actually have that disease. And it can cause, reduced growth of the head and brain. And which can lead, as might be expected, to mental retardation. I'm not doing so good on this handwriting. And then issues with the skin, basically pigmentation. So you might have white splotches, or the pigmentation might be uneven. And basically, the cure is not too sophisticated. So the cure, what do? Do not eat phenylalanine. Phenylalanine, which you can, of course, read those labels and not eat stuff that has it. But basically, stay away from no or eat less meat, cheese. Let me try to write cheese better. Meat, cheese, what else? Nuts. Basically things high in protein. Peas, beans. So a lot of good stuff, but it can cause major problems if they start eating. Okay, so this is normal skeleton here. You can see the femur. It's pretty straight. Femur. This is rickets. Lack of vitamin C. You see this bowing out of the leg. So badge. This is a mnemonic. So bone fragility. So breaking. Fractures. Also the muscle dental problems. And skeletal deformities that you see here. Skeletal deformities. So that's rickets. Vitamin D is a little bit strange because it can be made by your skin with UV light. That's a U and a V. And there are few dietary sources, so it can be hard to get. Mainly oily fish like salmon, tuna. Well, tuna isn't that salmon, but any kind of fish with oil. Now you'll see vitamin D is put in milk, but is added to milk. So it's added to milk. And really, kids, children, teens, and older adults like 65 plus need to get extra. And it's interesting, Indian immigrants to the subcontinent, people from India moving to England in the 70s started to show vitamin D deficiency because of the low light in England. when compared. And the people from India had darker skin, so it was tougher for them, darker skin. This new tip did not help. So that darker skin made it tougher for them to generate or synthesize that vitamin D in their skin. So that darker skin made it difficult. So they would have to drink more milk if they could process it, or just take supplements. And the immigrants from Northern Europe going to Australia, guess what happened to them? They got skin cancer because, gosh, that writing's terrible. Skin cancer, less, protection, from the sun. They definitely got enough vitamin D, but they got skin cancer because they weren't as protected. So they need to wear sunscreen. The people in Europe that have darker skin need to take some supplements, and then they're okay. So anorexia, you probably heard of that. That's severe starvation, self-starvation. It can lead to heart problems. We talked about you run out of glycogen, you run out of fat, your body's going to go after muscle, and your heart is made out of muscle. So you can see this thick wall of muscle, that's much thinner over here. And you can see there's reduced volume of blood flow. You can see how that arrow is showing just less blood going through. And you can also, the ventricles dilated. So that means it's increased in size because that muscle has been worn away. And that obviously is a major problem. So the symptoms: loss of body mass, loss of strength. I'll say body mass, strength, thinning hair. And now it's weird, the hair gets thin, but then the body becomes covered with a very thin coating of very fine fur, or hair. Covered with really fine hair. Lower blood pressure from less, blood being pumped. Less circulation. You just don't have as much blood going around, which obviously causes a whole host of problems. Low energy, of course. Less healing, or takes longer. You say you're cut or something. Infertility in females, and I imagine infertility in females. I can imagine probably for males that if males are anorexic, they're probably not. Their sperm probably isn't as good a shape, and the heart muscle deteriorates that we saw earlier. Heart muscle deteriorates.